Orochi is a divine being who needs his followers, also known as Hekashu, to help him fulfill his wish and gain as much power as possible. The Hekashu also observe their power from Orochi's strength. Let's see who these fighters are and how their story has been going on. The faithful leader, Genitz. As many centuries passed by from the moment that Orochi was sealed away, Genitz knew by a young age that he was destined for great things, and he was the only one out of all the Hekashu that knew well about his past and the history of Orochi, and was preparing for what was coming next. He is usually seen reading a book, constantly eager to learn more about his past and be ready to create a great future when the seal of Orochi breaks. He is one of the 4 Heavenly Kings. The Heavenly Kings are the strongest of the 8 Hekashu, and each has a control of an element of nature. Genitz has the power of wind. Being aware of his position, his first big duty was to find a host for Orochi. One of the big candidates was Rugal. After testing his strength, he kept him alive to test him as a possible host for his lord. Rugal was later revealed that he was unable to hold the power of Orochi, mostly due to his ego, so Genitz moved on searching for a better host. His search was put on hold when he decided to focus on his second task, which was gathering the other Hekashu. He has found easily the first 2, wise and mature, but the rest were harder to locate. Putting the seeking on hold, and thinking that at the right time they will all be awakened and be summoned to him, he focuses on his third task, which is killing the descendants of the sacred treasures. Just as the Hekashu had descendants, so do the sacred treasures who were responsible for sealing the Orochi. He soon finds and kills Maki Kangura, which was a huge step towards the return of his lord, as she was the guardian of the seal of Orochi and the head of the Kangura clan. He finds Kyo and easily defeats him, and almost kills him, but Kyo manages to escape from him and his own death. During the events of King of Fighters 96, Chizuru informs Kyo and Yori about the seal of Orochi and requires their help. That's when Genitz decides to appear again and attempts to kill all 3 of them. The 3 sacred treasures fight together for the first time and defeat him. Genitz takes his own life by disappearing into the unknown with the power of the wind. Years later, he is resurrected due to Versus actions during the events of KOF 14 and makes a comeback in King of Fighters 15 alive and strong. The offensive Dauntless, Yashiro. Another one of the 4 Heavenly Kings. Yashiro is the leader of his own team, New Faces, or simply Orochi team, alongside Shermie and Chris. This trio came together and started a rock band long before they even decided to participate in any of the King of Fighters tournaments. As a person, Yashiro is a cool young man who enjoys creating music and writing lyrics for his band. He was not aware or awoken about his heritage and the whole story of Orochi that happened years ago and how important his role is for the return of his lord until the seal of Orochi started to break. Before this happened, he was mostly focused on his band and wanted to be successful in the music industry, although some of his lyrics were often mentioning death, blood, and destruction, as a subconscious need of his dark Hekashu heritage wanting to come out. Yashiro and his band had an offer to perform in a club which will give them great exposure and will be a massive benefit for the band. But a day before the event, their deal was cancelled and the performance was replaced by another band. Curious about this, Yashiro rushed to the event wanting to see who is the band that stole the opportunity, and there he saw Yori Yagami, being the lead singer of the band. From that moment on, a great hate was created between him and Yori. a hate that goes beyond their music, in a deeper level, as Yori was one of the sacred treasures. The Heavenly King and the sacred treasure were naturally enemies. Following him around, Yeshua understood that Yori is taking part in the King of Fighters 97. Wanting to take revenge, he decided to take part in the tournament too. During the tournament, Yeshua and his team were silently received all the information that were needed for them to be awoken and help bring Orochi back. They had a plan. By gathering all the energy of the strongest fighters that took part in that tournament, they will fuel the energy of Orochi so he can come back fully strong and ready to finish humanity. Their blind devotion led to them sacrificing their own lives to Orochi. But all went in vain, as the sacred treasures were there to save the day and to seal Orochi once more. After the events and actions of Verse, Yeshua returns to life and to his good old self. At first he seems like he doesn't want to seek and find ways to help Orochi return, and mostly wants to focus on his music career. But his return also brings back his awoken side, which pursued otherwise. Difference between Yeshua and Orochi Yeshua in combat. Yeshua is usually using his fists and has an offensive approach. His physique helps him when it comes to striking, kicks and speed. When in the Orochi state, his powers are combined with the energy of earth, therefore he can create earthquakes and has super strength. He is no longer interested in music, and all he focuses is destroying humanity by all means. The playful, naïve, Jeremy. Nobody ever saw the color of her eyes, as she is permanently keeping them hidden behind her bangs. Jeremy is a cheerful young lady who enjoys socializing with everyone, talking about fashion, music, and she is obsessed with her hamsters. When she is not in her Orochi state, she enjoys small talk and she is very friendly. She is constantly in a good mood, that she might ignore any potential threat or even an opportunity that might benefit her in any situation, making her seem naive. She is easily distracted and hates boring conversations and loud people. She is one of the 4 Heavenly Kings. Her Orochi power is lightning. Coming from France, she formed a band with Yeshiro and Chris. The rivalry with Yori is what made her and the rest of the band joining the King of Fighters tournament. Before the 97 tournament, Jeremy beats Lucky in a basketball match to obtain the invitation for the tournament. She originally enters to create a scene in order to help promote her band for their concerts. During the tournament, Jeremy seemed uninterested in fighting, and often would be seen talking on her phone in the middle of the fight or dancing and smiling without caring about winning or defending herself. Nobody knew back then, neither herself was aware that she was destined to be one of the 4 Heavenly Kings. Her fighting style is very contrasted to her image. She usually slaps her opponents, but in a more serious way, she is very flexible and can use that advantage to grab her opponents or perform movements that will help her avoid or even attack her opponents out of nowhere. Her basic secret ability is being able to lift up heavy objects. As if they are feathers, she can use this ability to lift up and throw heavy opponents like Chang or Brian. At some point during the 97 tournament, she regained back her duty as a Hikachu. When she is in her Orochi state, her attitude changes. She becomes serious, determined to end her opponent, using her Orochi power, that is lightning. Her hair color changed to a darker color. Her voice changes too as she talks with a deeper, sharp and threatening tone. When they reveal their plans by the end of the tournament, Orochi is still weak, so the backup plan of the 3 Heavenly Kings was self-sacrifice to offer more power. Yeshua is the one who sacrificed her. and then takes his own life shortly after. Since she returned back to life, she is back to her old self, being happy and naive.
We're just here to enjoy the tournament, you know.
She even had a huge opportunity to break the seal of Orochi when the K talisman offered her to grant a wish for her, but she chose to get a cage for her new hamsters instead. With Genitz being back too, her awoken state returns and all 4 Heavenly Kings are united. The innocent smile. Chris. Chris has a golden heart. He is gregarious, shy, innocent, and a little antisocial. He's only 14 years old, and he appears to be a very soulful kid. In most circumstances, Chris tries to be the more responsible member of the group, giving his teammates information when needed. Being one of the 4 Heavenly Kings, Chris is not all that he presents to be. Behind his polite appearance, Chris has a killer's instinct and can easily fool his opponent by letting down their defenses and kill them with his innocent smile still on his face. Chris and his team members form a band with their initial called CYS. As newcomers, they needed invitations to join the tournament, so they had to get them from other people, and so they did. Chris was only following Yeshiro when they attacked America's sports team and stole their invitations. It only took a few hits, fast moves, and an innocent smile to defeat them. From that moment on, the American sports team knew that this kid is not an ordinary young boy. His abilities are mostly based on fast moves, quick attacks, and mind games to throw off his opponents. Overall, the trio didn't seem like a big threat to the rest contestants. A young teenager, a fashion designer, and a musician seemed to be out of place. Between the 3 though, Yeshiro was the one who seemed a little bit more threatening, and he was often the one to represent the team. Sometime in the middle of the tournament, Chris and his team regained their ancestors' memories and had to focus on their plan for the return of Orochi. The potential host that wanted to use for Orochi was Yuki, Kyo's girlfriend. They kidnapped her in order to sacrifice her body, but the sacred treasures stopped them before proceeding. Without any options left, the 3 of them started fighting with Kyo, Chizuru, and Yori. Being in his Orochi state, Chris had the power of Dark Flame. The use of this power made him seem like a much bigger threat than what he used to be. His smile was no longer innocent, but rather evil. When the fight was over and the sacred treasure seemed to have won, a final plot twist is revealed. Chris was the last resolution for them to bring back Orochi through his body. Yeshiro was smiling knowing that Orochi would be back in the most unexpected way, while no one could suspect that this once young and innocent looking child will indeed be turned into the Dark Lord himself. Even with his team members sacrificing themselves, Orochi was defeated by the sacred treasures. Chris and his team returned back to life years later due to Versus actions, and seemed to be focused on his musical career for the time being. Their dark heritage returned as well, but no one knows what their true plan is. The Cruel Beauty, Mature. Following Genet's orders, Mature played the role of a devoted assistant and right hand of Rugal, so that she is close to the potential host of Orochi and to also be behind the organizer of the King of Fighters tournament. Mature appears as a polite, beautiful, and well-mannered young lady, although she always has killing instincts inside her pretty head. She teams up with Vice, and both of them wear identical outfits and accessories. By the end of KOF 95, they both get closer to Yori and offer him to team up and take down Kyo. Yori being alone, he accepts the offer. Her Hikashu power is light and can be used to create illusions and to move just as fast as light. Her hands can slash and pierce as if they were knives. She can create a projectile made of cutting energy. Also, being a master of illusions, she can create an illusion of herself for a short period of time and can easily escape or attack her opponent. She has an incredible speed, and with the time that she spent with Rugal, she has learned a few techniques from him, like slamming her opponent and leaving the light with a large skull for a brief second as she does it. The vicious sadist, Vice. Vice is often highlighted as the cruelest Hikashu, and she definitely is more violent than mature when it comes to fighting. Her Hikashu power is darkness, which offers her a superhuman strength. She also has snake arms that can capture and drag her opponents from distance. She appeared to be the second assistant of Rugal, and during King of Fighters 95, she brainwashed Saishu, turning him into a pawn, forcing him to fight his own son, Kyo. She hates mostly every human she comes across to, especially older people. Up until 96, she followed blindly her leader's commands, that is Genin's, although she never liked him and preferred to act freely on her own. At the finale events of King of Fighters 96, and Genin's gone, Mature and Vice take damage by Yori when the blood of Orochi is activated inside of him. They appear to be dead by Yori, but for some strange reason, they manage to keep being around. It is implied that both Vice and Mature faked their death to save their lives from Yori and continue working in the shadows. Other speculations surrounding that is that they both have the ability to visit the physical world due to the Hikashu power. Her and Mature often appeared in Yori's sleep and haunting him like ghosts, pushing him into killing Kyo. When the seal of Orochi is sealed again after the events of King of Fighters 97, they both disappear until Ash and those from the past appear and wanted to steal the energy of Orochi. They both make a comeback and visit Yori, this time asking him to team up to protect the power of Orochi. At the time, Yori's power was stolen by Ash, so once again Yori grabbed the opportunity to merge his existent power with the Hikashu duo to take Ash down and restore his purple fire powers. Even though Vice and Mature fight in different sides than Yori, both of them had a strange sympathy for him, and they often sometimes questioned their own devotion to Orochi. The uninterested insane, Yamazaki. Yamazaki has joined the crime scene very early on in his life after feeling desperate and had no purpose, but the idea of being in charge of his own life and the lives of others was a big dream of his. After following the footsteps of a crime boss that he admired, he learned everything he needed to accomplish his survival in the underworld. Sadly for him, his crime boss and idol was killed, leaving him alone again, but this time, something darker began to take over him. The death of his boss left a mark in him, creating an insane alter ego. In one day, he seems like one of the most serious, well-organized, evil masterminds, and the next day he becomes a laughingstick and acts like an immature child and has no awareness of danger or risks and troubles he might get himself into. He has been living his crime life very intensively, and he has been well known to the authorities, although he could never be captured, and even if he did, the officers would usually suffer severe injuries by his insane acts like biting their ears off, laughing unstoppably as he sticks a knife in them, and so on until he breaks free. When the seal of Orochi was breaking, it is revealed that this criminal is another descendant of the Hikashu. This might explain the deranged state he often gets into, as the boiling in his blood is fueling his madness, resulting into shifting his personality into this wild, insane creature. Geese was suspecting that this was the case, so he ordered Billy to team up with him so that they can get closer to the Orochi power. Billy was shocked when he first saw Yamazaki breaking down a dojo and laughing insanely, thinking that this person is not someone that has big potential to help him win the tournament. But Geese insisted, saying that this person has a hidden power that goes back thousands of years. After demanding double the money that the prize of the tournament gives, Yamazaki joined the King of Fighters 97 special team with Billy and Blue Mary. The three of them, even differing from one another, they seem to get along during the tournament. In fact, Yamazaki appeared serious and quiet most of the time until he found himself fighting a strong fighter. The excitement inside of him will often break out during the ending of the match, and the audience will be left speechless by the loudness of his laughter. When approached by three of the Heavenly Kings to inform him that he is a part of the Hikashu, he shows that he is uninterested in anything regarding Orochi. It doesn't want to belong in a clan. He wants to be his own boss. He often has his right hand in his pocket, appearing as a more relaxed character than his opponent, without any fear. But in fact, his right hand is holding a knife that is hidden until he feels the right time to use it. Aside from his laughter, another sign of the Orochi technique he possesses is his snake hand move. He unleashes a quick attack by enlarging his arm almost like a big snake and damaging severely his opponent. His Hikashu power allows him to absorb any sort of attack that he receives, feeling the pain but not getting any damage. He can fire back the same energy infused with darkness. Yamazaki keeps living his troubled life as a criminal, changing sides at any given moment, risking his own life for fun, but he does not want to interfere with any of the Hikashu members. The fourth child, Leona. When the seal of Orochi was very close to break, Genitz, as the faithful leader of the Hikashu, was on a mission to seek, find, and gather all the known descendants of the first Hikashu to join him for the return of Orochi. One of them was Gaidel. Gaidel had left behind his ancestors' past and resigned with his family in a small village away from violence and the stigma of being a part of Orochi's bloodline. When Genitz visited him during a night to invite him to leave his family and join him to prepare the return of their dark leader, Gaidel refused and chose his family and asked Genitz to leave him alone. Genitz appeared to be accepting of the decline he received, but as he turns to leave the house, he notices a 6-year-old Leona looking at him with fear in her eyes. A simple touch of his palm on her head was enough to activate the hidden power that this girl had inside of her. Orochi's blood had expanded to the little girl too, and Genitz knew it is running in her veins. By activating the rite of the blood in her, moments after Genitz left their house, Leona had brutally murdered her family and every other citizen of that small village. Shocked by what she did, she ran away in the night until she was found by Haider, who adopted her as his own daughter. In her early adult years, Leona has become a silent soldier that usually appears unable to show any feelings or emotion. In spite of her dark past, Leona had chosen to stay faithful to the light, devoting her powers to Ikari warriors and finding her own purpose. She has found friendship and love through Ralph, Clark, Whip, and of course Haider. However, the blood of Orochi still runs through her veins. Therefore, at times, the riot of Orochi can break out and become unable to control it, putting the lives of her fellow Ikari warriors at risk. When the riot of the blood is happening in her hair changes from blue to pink or red. She becomes much faster and stronger, but she fights brutally every human being in her eyesight. This could be one of the reasons Leona is holding back on showing emotions so that she doesn't get attached with people she might hurt in the future, and also the lack of feelings is due to the never-ending strive to hold control of her body and mind, afraid that if she let go, she might fall into the darkness again. The riot of the blood had happened a few times after she joined Ikari Warriors. First time in 97, where she was unable to control her Orochi power, being a terrifying threat for everyone, and out of guilt, she attempted to end her life, but Ralph stopped her, showing her love and trust. Similarly to 2003 when the seal of Orochi broke again, but Ralph and Clark managed to hold her down. Although as of recent, it appears that Leona has now a much better control of the Riot of the Blood and can even turn it on willingly when she needs extra power, as seen in King of Fighters 13, 14, and 15. She says that she can count on Ralph and Clark to hold her down if needed, so the trust she has in them allows her to feel more relaxed and comfortable when it comes to risky decisions. At this part, I want to point out the first time ever Leona had laughed and felt like a normal human being, without any worries, just because she was around her friends, Clark, Ralph, and Wade. When she woke up in the hospital after feeling exhausted of using her Orochi powers willingly for the first time in King of Fighters 13. For me personally, that is one of the prettiest moments of the franchise, and you can see the reaction of your friends when they see her laughing for the first time, as they got both surprised and lucky to be the first to experience this life-changing moment in Leona's life. The beneficial one, driven by obsession, Yori. As mentioned many times by now, Yori was one of the sacred treasures that is destined to keep Orochi sealed. Although a rift was created between Yori's ancestor and Kyo's ancestor in the long past. Wanting to use this for his advantage, Orochi offered Yori's ancestor, who was going by the name Yasakani at the time, an Orochi power. Yasakani was furious with the Kusanagi ancestor, so he made a deal with Orochi, accepting the Orochi bloodline inside him. With this pact, Orochi had created a 9th member that will serve him when the time comes, and not only gain a new member, he pierced the sacred treasure trio, which would benefit him greatly. When he accepted the deal, his flame became purple and remained that way. The reason Yori takes part in the King of Fighter tournament is to beat Kyo. That's why, driven by this hatred, he joined forces with Mature and Vice, two Hikashu, not being aware about their agenda at the time. When the 96 tournament ended, the Riot of the Blood kicked in for the first time, slaughtering the two ladies to death. The next year, the sound of the celebration of the champions, who were Team Japan, lured him to the tournament, but he was uninterested in celebrating or congratulating the winners. As everyone else was celebrating, the Riot of the Blood took over again. This time, Yori gave in completely, and his Orochi state made a proper appearance. He breathes loud like an animal and acts like a monster, screaming and having only one obsession: killing Kyo. He created a huge commotion in the arena and everyone was running for their lives. Kyo and Team Japan managed to hold him down. Moments later, when Orochi appeared, the Riot of the Blood in Yori forced him to lose control of his mind again. But this time around, Yori pushed himself into focusing on Orochi instead of Kyo, because he seemed like a bigger threat. Grabbing him by the neck, Kyo gave a final hit, and Chizuru sealed him for good. His Orochi state was since sealed as well, and Yori regained fully control of his own life, but still obsessed with Kyo. As a person, Yori does not wish to help Orochi return to life, even though his blood is running inside of him. When Ash Crimson stole his power during the 3rd saga, Yori was completely free of the Orochi blood, but has also lost the ability to control or produce fire. He learned to fight without his fire, using mostly his slashing techniques. When Ash's mission came to an end, Yori asked Mature and Vice to grant him back the purple flame. The Hikashu ladies asked him if he was sure about it, since he was in a completely free stage at the moment. He then said that he was sure, and so he renewed his deal and once again accepted the Orochi bloodline in him. During the 4th saga, Mature and Vice both sent to Yori all of their Orochi darkness, hoping that he would be the host for Orochi to return to life, as he was the only alive member who had the bloodline running still. Orochi was so close to take over Yori, but Yori fought back and refused the fusion. By the end of the 14th tournament, the Sacred Treasure sealed the place where Orochi was trying to rise from. Vice and Mature both seemed to not want to oppose Yori's decision, implying that perhaps by now they seemed to sympathize Yori more than their devotion for Orochi. So these are the fighters who have the Bloodline of Orochi in them. I hope you liked the video and please subscribe for more.